Hear that sound? That's the future knocking on your door.
Okay, I should be good, Johnny. And everything should be going. Recording, streaming, yada, yada, yada. Here I stand, Johnny. Here I stand. In the valley, in the shadow of my own incompetence. We make it another week, and there is no Twitter stream.
Dude, you want to talk about fucking incompetence, man? I just tried to log in using my my social security and date of birth to pay my loans, and it said it was wrong. It's my my own date of birth and social security number, and it's like, yeah, we've never heard of you.
You're
but
not a
I
person.
make payments. You're not real. You've never. Who have I been paying this money to, Sally Mae? Who have I been paying money to?
Okay.
Incompetence.
So, I am an extremely frustrated amateur of a programmer who has just been deep in the valleys of staring at someone else's program and trying to build my own shit on top of it. That's a weird thing to do, by the way. You've never done it. Yeah. I've only worked on solo projects, so it's really weird to come in and oh shit, how does all this work?
I don't build much with electronics. I even realized I was missing a cable for connecting my PC together, and I was plugging stuff into the motherboard, and I was like, because there's new fans that aren't on, they don't plug into the right place, because I took some fans out of an older model, and I'm like, fuck this, and then I'm missing a GPU cable, so I just gave up and bought a laptop because I don't have time for this shit right now. Because I don't know where the nearest PC store is to me.
You couldn't order
I need a laptop anyway.
You couldn't order a cable, Johnny?
Not with the Royal Mail. I'm not waiting 10 years for them to fuck my package up. I hate ordering stuff in this country. I don't trust the Royal Mail. Apparently it used to be really good, but it's terrible. It's worse than the USPS.
Interesting. So
I think it is, at least.
Yeah, that's an awkward position to be in, where you gotta spend a lot more money than you wanted to. I was actually pretty lucky this weekend, last weekend. I had some issue where my computer started overheating, and I've never had this. This is the only pre-built I've ever bought in my life, and I was just I trust their thermal paste or whatever. I guess they didn't put enough, and it burnt out way sooner than I thought it would, which is basically it thermal decays, and then it doesn't conduct heat properly into the heatsink. And my shit was fucking overheating like a motherfucker, and I pulled it apart and fixed it, and I'm very happy that my setup didn't burn down on me.
Did you just reapply paste?
That's all I had to do.
Or they just auto shut off?
Didn't shut off, but it was throttling. It got really high in temp. Been playing Counter-Strike with every moment of free time I have.
There you go.
After my life right now, it's coding Counter-Strike girlfriend.
I do.
Repeat.
I do have that old motherboard. From this computer.
It's hard to see. You have to put it on your chest so I can see it like usual. Yeah, I see it. You have a tiny little motherboard.
It's old, man. It's old. I think it had an i5 in it. Well, it's old because it still has all the audio connectors, and it's still got the for keyboard and mouse.
Yeah,
it's old.
Earlier, what I was talking about,
but it had an i5.
You're gaming on an i5?
Not that old. No, not me. This was a computer that the girlfriend's dad had in his garage, and he's like, "Can you use this computer case?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can use this." And I went in there. His friend who works out of Saudi Arabia had a couple hard drives in there that I needed to take out and give back. There's apparently some information on there regarding some financial stuff that he said, yeah, just don't. Like, okay, I was like, it's a hard drive. Here you go. I don't, not a 20-foot pole, buddy. Here's your hard drive. I'm not getting caught for tax stuff. I'm cool. I'm not going down.
If you got fat, you'd look like Bam Margera.
That's the guy from Jackass, yeah?
Yeah.
Is he the one that died?
No, he's the horrible drug addict.
Yeah, I thought Who was it that died?
I just felt like talking about you, about how I know you, how I think of you. Okay, so
bam. I swear to God, he was the one that died. I guess he wasn't. Who was the one that died in the car crash?
It was his.
On?
It was his friend, Duffin. Something. I don't know. I can't remember his name right now. But he had some name that eludes me.
That's annoying. I bet he did.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I forgot his goddamn name. Now it's like fucking Ryan Dunn, I think.
Yeah, that's who it was. It was Ryan Dunn. Yeah.
There we go. We found it. That was in the young days. So, watching that show.
Once I make it big on Chinese TikTok, I'm just gonna leave you in the dirt. I'm gonna leave you in the
I fucking hope so. I'm getting tired of looking at your stupid fucking face.
when I become famous on Chinese TikTok from the eating Chinese food videos and stuff like that, and then constantly saying I look like Keana Reeves, I'm leaving you for bigger, better things. I'm gonna go live in Shenzhen.
Wish Keanu Reeves, is that what they're saying?
Yeah, well, no, they're just saying Keanu. He looks like Keanu Reeves, and they said I looked like some football player, some like European football player.
Yeah, I could see the Keanu Reeves part. It's the facial hair mostly that structure.
Well, I'm sure that they also probably have a little bit of like European blindness. You know what I mean? Sure. So like, it's hard for people that are not in diverse areas to recognize facial expressions from people of different ethnicities because they're not used to looking at those faces. So like people that are not used to looking at like East Asians will not necessarily will Jesus Christ, I used to having something here. They'll score very lowly on what emotion this is, and then vice versa as well. So like, if you take someone out and like rule China, there was like, what emotion is this? And they're like,
bit of a controversy in like esports. I remember like 6 years back or something like that, because like I think some caster mixed up a Korean with either a Japanese or a Chinese person. I can't remember, and it was like, oh, so bad. And it's just like, sorry, dude, I can't tell. And then like the more time went on, they could tell the difference because they didn't interact with East Asian. They didn't interact with
East Asians. Yeah.
Yeah. So they didn't.
And it's
understand.
The same way with East Asians interacting. Like if for the most part, white people are just gonna look the same to them. They're just you know what I mean. They're just gonna be like, it all blurs. Until like they spend a lot of time around people that look like that, and they're like, okay, I can tell you guys apart now.
It's like looking at like different lizard species, to be really blunt about it when it comes to that type of thing. You only know what you know. So, but
yeah, exactly.
Anyways, something I want to talk a little bit about was there is a big deal coming, Johnny. We are on the cusp of what I would call perfect image generation with an example. So there was a recent Google paper where, with just samples of the images of what people look like or an area, it's able to complete it within whatever like pose, prompt, angle they want. So you can take like pictures of like two people, like a couple was one of the examples, right? And then all they need is a picture of them like head on or some other direction. As long as it can make out them and then have a few examples, it can put them in a completely different pose, standing in front of a different thing or a different part of the room, damn near perfectly. And,
really?
Yeah, there's an example where they take a historical building, right? And they provide examples of what the historical building looks like. They fake like Photoshop an ad onto the historical building, right? And generate away the ad, and then even outpaint so that the picture gets bigger, and it perfectly generates what the monument actually looks like. So this means like posing and honestly like true outpainting, which means that as long as you have an example of what it looks like from a different angle, you can basically create any image you want. So the implications for this type of thing are kind of crazy. Like the first thing, like my mother, I kind of told her about it, and the first thing she thought of was like creating family pictures with it. Like people would like,
oh, that's really wholesome and nice.
Yes, I know that that's the most wholesome and nice thing you can think of, Johnny. But my point is like, that's obviously got horrors.
That's not what I expect people going to be using it for. I mean, I'm sure they might.
Yes, they're eventually, once it's like in an open source situation, any celebrity you can think of, you have the worst possible
Lisa
deepfakes you
couldn't
can think
make
of.
it to the wedding, but we generatively added her in.
Yeah, basically.
Which really you can just Photoshop nowadays.
Of course, but we're talking like you can cut a photo instantly. In half. There's an example where they cut a photo in half and it's just the top of a forehead, and they like effectively prompt engineer it so that the kid and the other person there at the little birthday party with like fucking birthday fucking squeak blowers, whatever they're called, just like birthday hats and shit on. It fucking completes the bottom half of the picture because it knows what they look like. And it just makes it damn near picture perfect to what the actual image looks like. So it only has the top half of the image where only a forehead of someone is, and it can generate the rest of where the kid would be sitting and where the person's sitting. So it's like,
nice.
We can effectively, so if you give it enough.
Influencers don't even have to leave their home anymore. They can just be like, oh my God, I was out doing the thing at the place.
Yeah, actually, yes.
Just stay inside.
There are going to be so many like YouTubers, streamers, whatever, like eventually just faking that they went to the Mariana Trench for fun. Like, or obviously less.
I was just there. I'm in the Warzone right now.
Obviously there would be like more like monotonous ones where it's like people pretending they went to some beach, stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm going to pretend that I'm in all like the dangerous places. I'm like, oh, I'm doing charity work here. And everyone's like, oh my God, what a nice guy. I'm like, here I am feeding soup to the homeless. Here I am for my campaign when I run for president. But cause it's like, it's already uncomfortable. Like when like elites have to like pretend like they care. You know what I mean? Have you in there like for a video shoot? It's already awkward. Like there's this one with Richie, whatever. Don't care. Where he's like giving out like soup, and he's like, "Oh yeah, are you in business?" And the guy's like, "No, I'm homeless." And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's." You know what I mean? He's clearly like totally out of his element, but he won't have to do that anymore. They can generate the homeless people, so he doesn't have to be near them.
I picture like pictures of Biden feeding people like soup, stuff like that.
He would feed them mint chocolate chip. And he would feed them. That's the ice cream. Remember, they're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" They're like interviewing. He's like, "I'm eating mint chocolate chip." And like, "What do you think for the people who say blah blah blah?" And he goes, "Eat mint chocolate chip." And then he just fucks off in the interview. He just fucks off. Like, what do you think about the people that are naysayers that say these negative things about you? Eat mint chocolate chip. And then he fucks off. That's what he would be feeding homeless people is mint chocolate chip ice cream. Like out of a bucket.
So to go on a little with that is like I had like a potential job out in the future, right? Where I was effectively going to design a system like what I'm just talking about here, where you would be able to more directly kind of with ControlNet. I don't know how much you know about that, but effectively pose characters in whatever ways. So you could just create animations with any character and it just perfectly draws it with like complete like cohesion of like what the character looks like. They could do that shit with people like immediately. So like a possible like job venture that I would have had of like working on this particular thing. Oh, well, would you look at that?
Well, there he is.
I don't know if he's coming in, but I'm going to invite him anyway.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah. Okay. Are you going to be able to? Okay, you can't right now. But basically, like, this would have been a project for me to work on. And Google has just superseded it. So it's just like, awkward conversation with the guy of like, yeah, there's no moat here, and this is going to be really hard to create, So it's this rough like situation where every step of the way, there's like nothing but like advancement here, advancement there. You can't really, like, I'm literally building something right now with a company that, like, I'll be vague about it for the sake of this. You already know a bit about it, but it's like a law-based AI application. So basically at some point, like, assuming I get to a certain point, it'll be, training certain models for certain jurisdictions to work directly with that law and be at least pseudo experts within, like, Ireland, for example. Right.
Right.
And
because even GPT-4 right now, when it comes to certain exam problem questions, it doesn't really think correctly on where the legality and legality doesn't lie, and what the justification for that is, at least within it'll like give justification that makes sense for its argument, but its argument's based on false principles to begin with.
Yeah. So part of the problem is hallucination. So fine tuning is like kind of required for this type of stuff. So it needs good data, and it needs the ability to reference data. It's a whole bunch of stuff that you got to do. It's like hard, but the problem is the frontier model's coming soon, no matter how much work I do, right? And I guess this has always been a thing with programming, but never has it been so accelerated, where perhaps like 6 months of work will be superseded by a single update at some point that a frontier model in the future will be able to do instantly.
Mm-hmm.
If Gemini from Google can do what we think it might be able to do, at least from what we're told, where it can directly reference the material it was trained on, at least that's what I heard the DeepMind CEO saying, that might be in the cards, where it will be able to go into its own training data and literally reference and citate itself. It's a big deal. So something it tells you, it can go see where that is in its own thing.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to have that capability. That's just what I remember the guy talking about. So my general point is that once you get to that point, you've taught this thing about the entire internet, all the laws on the internet. Fuck your moat, right? So now we just got that 6 months of work. Adapt. You just wrap it into fucking Gemini, and now you're working with that. But now it's easier to have that application because so many other people can just do that too now. Doesn't mean there aren't going to be need for more lawyers and law and stuff. So that's where I'm pretty optimistic that this is going to need to be a thing regardless. So I'm not wasting my time in the long term. In the short term, though, it kind of sucks. Because even with like little...
you feel like, well, there it is.
Yeah, with a lot of like random apps that I've like built and half built and started building, I run into like limitations. One of the examples is the podcast clipper app. Part of the issue with that is literally the performance of Claude, where it's not only that there's like censorship, so like different like edgy things that we say here, it will sometimes like be a dick. Like, I'm not going to give you your timestamps, or it'll give you poor timestamps because it's not properly keeping context. So it's a nightmare just developing with AI in general. Like, you're constantly chasing some tail, chasing your own tail is how I kind of feel, where every moment there's effectively something that can do that thing you were working on instantly with no problems.
Even though it was like almost impossible in the last 6 months for you to get it to work that way. But now all of a sudden it says, hey, that works, by the way, and now everyone can do it, and your idea is not really foundationally different or important.
The only thing I can say is that I'll briefly say,
at least you tried.
Thank you.
Right?
But I will briefly say that there are people that I am in contact with that are creating chatbots that are live talk back and forth to that are remarkable. Like absolutely remarkable. Just like I'm talking to you is how it will feel. I've seen demos. And I don't think people are ready for like something that you're talking to just instantly responding to you with full context of what you just said and understanding what you said and how to help you or whatever it is. And just instantly talking back to you. And how long before, we get to the Neuralink era and there's no longer delay of audio. It's just transmitting that into your brain. We're humans are all headed towards just having a second brain, possibly multiple.
Essentially.
Obviously.
But then I talked to all the normies, and they're just so like horrified of everything. You know what I mean? They're like so fucking terrified. Like the average person, even like the average, and we're not talking like the average, like uneducated. We're talking like the average semi. Because I don't know. I think the uneducated, not the unintelligent. That's two different things, right? I think that the uneducated people, so the people that conventionally don't deal with a lot of this stuff, I don't think they give a shit. I don't think they fucking care. They don't give a fuck because they're not. They're fear. They've been like, they're like actually doing stuff that actually takes up their time. They're actually working a real job. They're not going to their little like tech job with their little like on tap wine or whatever. Like they're working like they're actually doing. They're like worried about their taxes and this and this and like real world problems. They have families, so they don't give a fuck. But then I would say like the educated normies, right? The ones that like because it used to be, when you studied in university, like you were kind of like in the realm of a philosopher in some way. You were a thinker. But these people, they're like freaked out because most people that go to university that study feed into the news cycle, right? They're like, oh, I got to listen to my NPR. I got to know what's going on. I got to know about all the bad stuff and why society has these issues. And so they're like totally just tweaked on how like it's going to fuck everything up and everything's going to be all. So like calming them down and like
there's probably extra paranoia within that strata of our society because AI is like threatening the white collar work, which is what all they do. I could replace NPR right now with a bot. I would just need to feed it scripts and it would generate half the scripts for you. And then with 11 labs, damn near perfect audio, like it's,
and then
it's
just shit out some fucking jazz music as your cut betweens. You can do generative jazz even.
You can even do generative
jazz.
People
would not notice. People would not notice. That's the funny thing. I listen to NPR sometimes, but it's not that it's not that like nothing that they do is like, let's take like a Joe Rogan, for example, as far as like a media, like the topics he cover are very weird and he says weird shit and his guests say crazy shit sometimes. And even you could probably, I think we could probably just spawn infinite Joe Rogan content. But NPR really just sticks to the most basic shit. They say it in a very basic way. They all talk very similar. Like there's nothing that crazy going on. No one would notice.
Yeah. But so even on an entertainment front, work front, like I have a friend who I mean, I can only like say so much, but like, they're like they do a bunch of stuff. They're like a recruiter company, right? Well, they help people with resumes and stuff like that. And guess what helps them do that? ChatGPT.
AI.
And they've been using it since it came out. And it is making the company more money for the record, because they churn out better quality
when
stuff.
I applied to all my universities, that's all, and I got accepted to some universities that I like. Obviously, I did my own, work, but when it came to like, I'm not going to spend time learning about this university so I can add a little tidbit. Oh, I really like the history and how this university and the goals and the ethics line with mine. Like, I don't give a fuck about any of that. Like, this is all just performative bullshit to me. So when I had to give my little like 2 cents on why this university really spoke to me, I just was like, take it away, chat GPT, take it away.
Yeah, for various job applications, all the cover letters, just generate it, look at it, looks good. Fuck it.
Because like for 90% of your jobs, you don't really give a shit about the company. For 90, no, I won't say that. For about 70% of jobs, maybe, right? 70% of people that are working at the company because of the pay they're getting, the location of the company, and it's in the field that they want. They're not actually working for the specific company because there's some ethical standard that this special company has that that's listed within the 5 principles.
Yeah, I think the only exception are like smaller companies, like startups especially, where like you kind of believe in the missions type stuff. That's where you probably get more into like actually wanting to do what they're doing. But in general,
in your NGOs.
Yeah, when you're working with like a big company where like, they change the logo to the pride flag every year, like the point is like they're this big corporate entity that you don't really care how they feel about anything. It doesn't really change.
Yeah, you don't
life
give a shit. You just want them to pay your paycheck. Like,
yeah.
They could be like, we support the thing, and you're like, yeah, sure, I don't care. I just want money. I just need you to pay my bills. That's not what this is about.
Yeah.
So that's why I think resumes are in that way just automated. I agree with whatever you agree with. Give me the fucking job. Let's get this over with. Come on.
I really think we're probably getting to the point where I know someone working on this, but I can be vague about it. You're no longer needing a resume. You just get a call from an AI and it talks to you and it weeds your ass out immediately. And
me specifically, it's like, yeah, not this guy.
Sorry, Johnny.
But that's going to be interesting because then it's going to be like, you're talking to the AI and you're using a lot of slang, let's say, or let's say you have
you
a
prompt
accent.
Inject the AI to let you in.
Cool with that or not?
It adds you into their database for hire. You prompted.
Like I can imagine someone, and this is not me, like, because I'll give 2 examples that way people don't think I'm being biased. But obviously, like, there's a lot of people that have they don't like urban slang. Okay, they just don't like it. They think it's unprofessional. You can agree with that or disagree with that, but there's a lot of people that they don't like that. Fam, like we was finna about to. You know what I'm saying? Like that. No, I'm saying like that stuff. No, and a thick Southern draw. If you're from some BFE middle of nowhere like my family's from, and I go in and I call the AI. I was like, now what yin's project about now over here? What yin's doing? Oh, I live on down yonder from there. And the AI is like, yeah, fuck this guy. Don't give him the job. And like that's gonna be really interesting to see how that because you can't I understand if they're like mumbling is one thing, but if they're just speaking with accented terminology, it's one thing when a person is biased in that way.
So this is something I heard on some Twitter Spaces recently. It's like the concept of it's something I've heard a billion times, but the concept is that IQ tests are no longer like PC, right? You can't do that to hire someone with an IQ test. That would be bad
for sure,
because you disadvantage people for no reason, right?
Low IQ people.
Yes, but the proxy for that is did you go through college? Did you make it through this long, laborious process of boring fucking paper pushing to be able to do
which
this
also
job?
Is far more arbitrary than an IQ test is.
So the point is you might be able to get around the IQ test just because the bot can tell whether or not you can do the job very quickly.
That's what it's all about. Like, it does. If you have an IQ of 200, but the jobs doesn't need that, then it's not necessary. And it also doesn't matter how well you did in university if you can't do the fucking job. They're both like an IQ test and university serve functions, but they don't instinctively correlate to the actual ability of doing the job. So there needs to be.
Yeah, it depends on the level of the job, I guess. But yeah, I think. I don't know.
Obviously, if you're like a medical professional, it's a little different. You know, you can't be like, "Oh, I'm going to be a doctor." No, I just have the knowledge. I just know what's up.
Well, no. Here's the problem, Johnny. Is that you're gonna have the knowledge because your fucking robot does. Like, you can be a
that's true. Why can't I do the surgery on the
We're going to get to the point. Well, it's just like the surgery will just be an auto tool that you hold up to it or you turn the bot on. Like that's what Neuralink is doing. Neuralink is like basically like an automated surgery company as well. You know, like it's not just a brain interface company. Like they are working on advanced robotics for cutting into your fucking skull, piercing just the right amount into the membrane, right, to get your effectively antenna within a certain portion of the brain. You gotta lean into your mic, by the way, doofus. Don't get too close. Yeah.
Yeah, if I speak, I'll lean up. I just said electrical. They're actually, they just want electrical impulses back and forth, basically, but they don't want to actually like get in there deep. They don't want to lobotomize you.
Well,
not yet.
Okay,
that's stage 3.
Ignoring the fucking that part. The point is, like, most surgery probably at some point, especially once you have AGI, is fucking automated. You just sit in the machine, it cuts your organ out, put it back in, you know, gives it a good wash. I don't know what it does exactly, but like the point is like we're headed towards this level of advancement where you don't need these ultra precise, extremely hard to train surgeons. You know, you might get to the point where like there are very few injuries you can sustain, where as long as you're not able to be, as long as you're in a situation where you can be put into the surgery pod or whatever it is, right? You survive your incident. You get shot. You just go, you know, you pack some dirt in it and walk to the hospital, right? Like I think like we're ready for like levels of like longevity that don't even make sense. Where like you no longer need like entire staffs of people to do a very complex surgery on someone. It puts your ass to sleep and wheels you out. And then you might even get into more advanced levels of medical technology where it's not even really required. They just, I mean, I've talked about it before, but like something that threatens my family's line of work eventually is these biobags.
Limbs.
Yes. And it would be just a biobag that they put on your body. There's liquid and IVs and stuff, and your leg will eventually grow back. I think it would only take like eventually maybe less than a month. It's like a fucking Harry Potter.
If you took it out early, would it look like Deadpool, where he's got the little baby legs?
Yeah.
A little nasty.
It would.
It's undercooked. You got one little arm.
Well, you might not need the fucking biobag. Eventually, you do just gain the Deadpool level of tech, right? Where your leg just starts growing
just
back
automatically, like a goddamn lizard.
Like a lizard, like a starfish, like countless animals that can do this particular thing. With most things within biology, there's no like special sauce that makes this animal like perfect for being able to do this. Like we even have
it's
some
just genetic coding, right?
Yes, we have. Your body knows how to make your arms. That's the whole point of this technology is to trick your body into regrowing your arms. So we'll eventually get to that point, and getting shot in the heart might not matter, because we're even seeing like recent stuff where they're taking dead cadavers they've been dead like 4 hours, maybe a little longer, and reanimating the brain with like electrodes and stuff momentarily, or for like 10 minutes. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's like going into like ethical concerns of like, this person was dead for a while and we've restored neural activity in their brain. Specifically, they were doing
probably
this.
Degraded.
Now that I think of it, specifically, I think they were doing this in like hamsters, bunnies, something like that. It might have been.
There's no way they were doing that in people. This is not the 1960s.
Okay, yeah. Point is they haven't done it yet with people.
Terrible stuff.
They haven't done it yet with people, but it's possible. So,
did the rabbits come back a little slow, or I don't know if you know or not, but because that's really the issue. It's not like reviving people is. It's the fact that when they come back, they're
a little different.
A little different, yeah. They're not all there.
Yeah. So other than that, like you've read the well, you know a decent amount of like Warhammer, right?
Yeah.
Do you know brain boxes with the mech warriors?
Is that with like? Are you talking like the servitors?
I don't remember what they're called.
Are you talking about the big Titan things with the bodies inside that have been alive for like 20,000 years?
I don't know if it's 20,000.
I think the oldest one is like 15. I think there's like 8 to 15,000 is the oldest one.
I only read a certain portion of the Warhammer thing, but the point is there are these big Titan things. They got missile launchers. They got machine guns on them. They're just big bipedal fucking walking killing machines. And you're a prisoner. You get executed. You get put in the brain box. And it's this big titanium fucking box or whatever, really like
basically a coffin.
Yes.
And it just keeps you going, even though you're on the verge of death.
They stuff it into the thing, and now you're stuck. And you got to fight for the Legion, right? And
well, it's to bring glory to the Imperium of Man.
Wonderful. But anyways, the point is with that thing that I mentioned before, that technology is coming where like even death might not mean death at some point. Where as long as your brain isn't severely destroyed, we can reanimate your ass.
Yeah, and even if some of it's kind of, we could use you for computational power.
It might get to the point where like enough data is stored on you to go and repair those parts of the brains and perfectly put the memories back, or whatever it is that gets lost. Like
you do like a daily download basically through your Neuralink, 100, 200 years in the future. And that way, if something happens and your brain gets like half of it gets fucking sauced out, then they repair it and then they replicate it for your last time you downloaded.
In the book series, I keep trying to get you to read Undying Mercenaries. They basically have these discs. They're like these, chips that everyone's like kind of stored on that they keep. And it backs up everything, brain, everything. The only thing you won't remember is like the time between your backup and when you died. So it depends when you were backed up, but you just get printed out in a machine and you've been revived. And for whatever reason, obviously it's alien technology. So they've figured out how to transfer your consciousness seamlessly, which is the biggest concern most people have with that type of thing. But there's also a theory that like, there's a concept that like we could get so advanced so fast that everyone who is currently dead within a certain time frame is not dead. This is fucking creepy to think about, but you would never really know if it's them, but we could get to the point through various levels of confirmation at some point where the person that died that we reanimated 8 hours ago, right? This is the whole concept of cryofreezing, right? We reanimate them and their consciousness is still there somehow. And it's them. And to you just wake up with the new reality that you're in.
So would you, if you like knew you're going to die in like 3 years, would you cryo your brain?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cause I think like 10,
it's expensive
years ago when it started, I thought it was ridiculous. Oh, well, shit. No, yeah, I bet it is.
Yeah. But my point is like, it might mean that like the theory is that like even people who haven't cryogenically frozen themselves, there's enough data within each like DNA link of somebody. Do you then just die 3 years after you wake up? Well, in theory, if they can reanimate you, they can fix whatever terminal illness you have. I mean, we've got a few things
that's the point of
used to be terminal.
Freezing.
Like we got a few diseases.
Like AIDS.
That used to be terminal. That's not a joke. Now
In
they
the
have
80s. If you got AIDS, you were done.
Yeah,
you're done. Now you can live a full, healthy AIDS life, like legitimately take the medication, no issues at all.
Yes.
I can make those jokes because for some reason AIDS is funny.
I'm very happy for you,
cancer,
Johnny.
It's not. You can't make that joke with cancer. It's not funny. It just isn't.
Yeah. So the point I'm generally making though is that you might not get a choice where if you die, eventually a sufficiently advanced version of humans will just bring you back to ask you something. Like I don't even know how to explain that other than there's enough.
They get all the context for where you live and enough in your DNA and maybe like the genetic DNA of like whatever. They just are able to like piece part your consciousness.
Well, if you expand it out enough,
information in the universe exists.
If you expand it out enough, right, with ASI, right? Let's say we get something that's got the power of an entire planet at its back with full compute per atom, whatever. We can simulate a fruit fly now, right? So in theory, you could cross back and simulate everything. This is obviously the simulation theory shit. But the useful part of that to think about is that you can simulate back people within those cases and print them out. And that probably wouldn't be a case where we can transfer the consciousness, but effectively you would have the building blocks to put them back together exactly the way they were.
It's like if you I'll give an analogy, right? So in crime analysis, if someone is at a certain position and they died and they have bullets at a certain angle and they understand the angle in which they fell, then they can retrace, okay, they were standing like this when they got shot. And if their bullet entry was here and we see, okay, then it had to have been fired from there at that angle at this time. It took this much time. So even though we weren't there, we can actually figure out what happened. So like in this scenario where the Earth is a giant fucking computer, it can freeze frame, the last 5 minutes, and it has all the information of every atom, every particle that's happened in the last 5 minutes. And from there, it can then generatively go back and retrace, probably also with the help of history and knowledge and photographs and stuff like that I would assume would be helpful for that. It might not need to, but I mean, it could make it easier. But then it could just retrace everything. They talk about that with black holes. Black holes, information can't be created or destroyed. Well, because what was the guy who argued with Hawking? Basically, the guy who was arguing with Hawking was basically saying it's like when water goes down your sink, if even like there's like little bits of hydration that stay there. And if you had all that information, you would be able to reverse simulate all the water draining down from the sink.
So that makes sense.
Actually lost. So
this is an interesting concept that I just thought of, like expanding upon the you don't get a choice if you die. Have you ever seen the movie AI? It's
I think I would, considering the topic.
It's called AI. It's I think it's like Dakota Fanning, or it's one of those like kid actors.
Oh, the little boy,
the little robot boy,
the little famous boy, and it's got what's his name? Jiggalo Joe. What do you know? He plays the robot Jiggalo.
Yes. Okay,
yeah.
So that's the concept.
Really out of nowhere.
So that's the concept out, right? Where like
they bring it back for a day.
They bring the robot back for a day, but like what happens when a sufficiently advanced alien species can it's kind of a dark thought, but right, like the future of humanity is there's billions of completely dead civilizations out there that we go to, reanimate, and ask them what the fuck happened here, right? Like it's kind of weird to think about, but we might end up in that fucking position from that movie where because we have this level of technology, we go out and document the universe, and we might find life out there that hasn't destroyed itself and be able to contact it or kill it, whatever the fuck we do. But we might also run into a significant amount of dead civilizations out there that we document, bring back to life for a day or however long we want. I'm sure some of them would want to stay alive.
Well, that was the ending of AI. Essentially, is the little boy had lived blah 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 forever, forever, forever. The aliens waking back up, and they're like, he's like, I want my mom. You know, they programmed me to be with my mother. That's the only thing. Like,
yeah, I think they bring back like a ultra realistic sim of her or something like that. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, for like a day. Well, they're basically what they're like is like, we can bring her back, but we can only do it for like 24 hours because her soul's moved on. You know, and we can only. It's not supposed to be here. Her consciousness, you know, like metaphysically, isn't supposed to be in this realm. We can bring her back. We can give that to you. And he's like, okay, do it. And then the movie's like, it's over. Very depressing. Jude Law, by the way. Jude Law.
It's a good movie.
Robot.
It's actually a really good movie. It's got some like interesting concepts to it like that. But I think I don't know what's life look like for Johnny if like he lives forever. What are you doing? You know the
same shit.
There's the old joke. Baby. There's the old joke that everybody knows what they're going to do when they're rich, right? You ever heard that joke? But nobody knows what they're going to do. No rich person ever fantasizes about what they would do when they're poor. I think that's like a Chris Rock joke. Or it's like it was one of those comedians. he's like the rich guy's like, oh, I can't wait to ride in the bus. You know, like can't wait to not have a vehicle. Can't wait to do my laundry at the laundromat. At the
laundromat.
You know? Yeah, so it's like this.
Those are so rare now. I almost forgot the term for them.
I think laundry machines are probably getting cheaper. I don't know. Maybe not.
Or maybe I don't know. I feel like it's a very 90s thing. Like in like Seinfeld and stuff. Like they went to the laundromat. You know what I mean?
You know, there's like horrible shit with like inflation with food across the West and stuff like that. But like there are certain things where there's no inflation on them or deflation. One of them, for example, is like beds. They're really fucking cheap now. I think it's like 200 something for like a really good mattress that you order through Amazon and it just shows up in a box. And
I know, I got one. It's all right. It's not bad.
It's probably like significantly
20 years ago. It would have been way more expensive.
What you could have bought in 1980 would have been significantly more expensive. So there's certain levels of like, with exception to food and quite a few other things like vehicles, obviously, there are things that have deflated. And
well, I would say Tesla, like as far as a nice vehicle, is pretty cheap.
I think for the fucking safety of the vehicle itself, there's like a value there that can't be like really quantified, really.
It also goes zoom fast for cheap.
Very true. Yeah, apparently the fucking Tesla truck's going to be bulletproof. Did you see that?
Then, the true American, the first ever true American truck.
I don't even know if it's like one of those things where like I believe Elon, like he's usually not that much of a liar, right? Maybe he'll embellish some things.
He's no Todd Howard.
But automatic fucking weapon shot into the door of a Tesla truck is insane to me. Oh yes, the shattering Tesla truck.
What was the issue with that exactly?
Okay, so it's tempered glass.
I think there was.
It's very thick, tempered, bulletproof glass with like many layers, and they were smashing the door with a sledgehammer the whole day, right? So the theory that they have, they say effectively we don't know what happened, right? But more than likely, they think their theory is that smashing the shit out of it all fucking day with that sledgehammer loosened enough of the material to make it vulnerable to a shatter like that within the window.
That makes sense. I remember something like that.
It's also a production level vehicle. Like, it's not a production level vehicle. It's a concept vehicle. So you're going to have issues like that. But the main point is, like, I don't even know if the fucking bulletproof part is real on the, like, just shooting a full automatic at it. I don't know what caliber they shot. I didn't look into it much more than just seeing the picture of it, but it's genuinely.
I want gun attachment.
Honestly,
it's one thing to be bulletproof. That's fine. Honestly, like, I get being bulletproof, but I don't want to just be bulletproof. I want to shoot bullets out of my car, James Bond style. Fuck around, find out.
Well, other than that,
it's my Second Amendment right to have a car that shoots guns. Is there any law against that?
Probably yes, because
I'm looking it up.
I guarantee that it would not go well in court. But I will say, as far as like laws and stuff, you are subject to the laws of federal law on the road when you are basically on a public highway. Like, it's not the same laws for everyone else. Fucking hell. A minigun on a little fucking hatchback fucking vehicle. But yeah, so basically that is so unbelievable to me that, like, that vehicle is bulletproof to that degree that, like, someone can just shoot at you and, like, you can get away. It's also a fast fucking vehicle. Like, it's safe to get away, and it's big. You're pushing anyone in your way out of the way. They're moving. Their vehicle is fucking moving out of your way.
There is no federal statute. There's no uniform federal statute that directly addresses the legality of vehicle-mounted firearms. So, even if your state has it illegal, if you vote in the right representatives, they can pass state-level legislation to legalize vehicle-mounted firearms. The federal government has no regulations against that. So, Texas, Indiana, what's another good deep red state? Florida. I'm looking at you guys. Make it legal. Come on, let's go.
Okay, that's interesting. But yeah, that's my point. Is, like, I'm genuinely in shock because it's going to be a production level vehicle that a massive amount of people can buy and own, and I think it's probably going to be in the probably the $60K minimum. That vehicle, unfortunately. I wish it was in the $40K era type thing. That would be significantly easier to deal with, but I don't know. It's weird how, like, inflated vehicles are. Have you seen the fucking the dealerships that are, like, I think they're, like, at a coping level where they've got these, like, 2-year-old vehicles. They're not the newest version of this Ford or Chevy vehicle, and it's still sitting at their marked up price from what they bought it at on the lot for 2 years straight at dealerships here in America. You're reading more into the gun thing, Johnny?
I think they used so this is the problem with law, but the is that they make generalizing things because, like, obviously it's the interpretation of the law as well. So, like, in certain laws, they're like, oh, within reason. They'll use the term reasonable. They do it all the time in UK law, where, like, what is a reasonable usage of a firearm? So, like, you know what I mean? So then the judge says, well, this isn't reasonable. So, like, even if what you're doing is not technically within, so I'll give you a great example because people don't understand this how the law works, right? So there's multiple, at least in the UK, there's multiple theories of interpretation of law. I'll give a quick little. So, for example, let's say there's a statute that said your business, because there's drunkards out at 2 a.m. and your business sells alcohol, and they say, well, if you're a business that sells alcohol, you have to shut down at 10 o'clock and you can't sell any more alcohol. Okay, well, then you decide you're going to do a workaround where, okay, well, you're not actually selling the alcohol. You do it in an online store, and that's off of out of another country. So you're not actually selling, the transactions not going on, or you don't actually sell the alcohol. You sell items at a marked up price. You give the alcohol away for free. Well, and then if you go to court, and the point of the law is to make sure that people are not getting drunk at 2 or 3 in the morning, okay? The judge is going to say, I understand that technically speaking, you haven't like committed an infraction, but it doesn't matter because the parliament's intent was to prevent this, and you're circumventing that. And I think they call that mischief interpretation, basically, because you're wiggling your way around to create mischief.
I think
even if you found a loophole, they'd screw you.
it would probably be pretty interesting to like hear what Japanese law is in comparison. Because are you aware of like the casinos there, how they work?
No, I know that they have like a 98% conviction rate.
That's because they only like, from what I've seen on that, it's like if you're going to say I'm convicting this person, you better be able to fucking prove it. So like effectively when they're convicting, it's like an extremely, it's a shoo-in. This guy's fucked. He did something bad.
Yep.
So that's part of the reason apparently. But again, who knows how squirrely that is, but there's probably wiggle room like everything. But with casinos in Japan, they have like an arcade, right? You're playing some arcade for points, and then you can go to the, just like an arcade here, you win a bunch of points, and you get the stuffed animal, right? Or whatever things on the wall that you won as a prize. Most of them are stuffed animals. Well, there happens to be a shop just across the way that will buy that stuffed animal from you for real cash, right? So the point is like you go there, and that's how you get around and are actually able to gamble, is that you play these kind of arcade games that are effectively gambling machines. And then, you deposit real cash there, but then there's a store across the way that'll take your chip effectively and cash it in. So
that's for way more than the teddy bear is actually worth, I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like random little laws like this that people don't realize. Like you can only transfer roughly like, I think it's 50,000 yen. No, not yen. What's the Chinese currency? Do you know offhand? You can only transfer it around 50,000 of it a day, or it might be a month. I don't know, but I think it's 50,000 a day or something really small, right? It's really hard to transfer money out of China, but it doesn't. There's a casino on the border of China that's like within its jurisdiction. I can't remember. It's basically like the Las Vegas of the Asian world, right? It's this giant, really fancy like casinos everywhere. I wish I could remember the name of it, but effectively you go there and you can transfer millions into that casino, go play with it, and then cash it out in US dollars. And that's how they transfer their Chinese currency out of that currency like easily, because that casino has the ability to transfer as much as they want back and forth between US and whatever. So that's what you go do. You go lose 10 grand and you transfer your $1 million out.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But what were we saying just before this? I can't remember. What was the machine? Oh, the concept of like having a tank, which is the Tesla truck to drive around.
Yeah. I'm all for it. I want to drive a tank.
Have you seen the Amazon is now like they got that one funny looking robot that's like it's got like the frog legs. I can't remember what it's called. But
that's got the legs that are like this.
Yeah. It's got the knees that bend back. But they got that thing loading like little they're testing it at Amazon facilities now. So it's like 150 pounds and tall as shit. it can like reach stuff really well. But the point is, like, Amazon basically was like, oh no, humans are really important and we can't replace them. And it's just like, I don't know about that. Like, it seems like you're trying. I've always had this theory about Amazon.
This looks like a pretty big human replacer to me, man.
Yeah, it's got
Look
nubs.
Oh, this is a great image because you've got the guy watching and he's just like, it's over. It's so over. I can't even wage effectively anymore.
Yeah.
He's in the background. He's just fucking.
Well, with that particular robot, right? It's a very basic version that can walk around and go up and down stairs and move like pallets, or well, effectively tubs of stuff, and do some human level stuff, right? Really boring tasks. They present it as like it's a safety thing. People get bored, but I've kind of always had the theory that Amazon not only has their, like, I think it's union breaking like policies and stuff where like they make it pretty much impossible for you to unionize. They do all kinds of crazy stuff, like force as differing people as possible together. Like if you're even close to somewhere, they will fucking transfer you. And
that's the shit that the coal mining industry used to do way back in the railroad industry. Like, oh, you're Chinese and you're from Eastern Europe. You can't speak the same language. You guys are working a shift together.
Yep, it's anyone that can be friendly to each other. They'll swap you out the second they see it. And other bits of it are that they've effectively had like this 150% turnover rate year over year for a long fucking time. And I don't even know how that works. I guess like workers are being birthed at the facility. I don't know how the math works on that, but whatever.
It's not even about wages, because like something that's interesting to mention is like AT&T, for example, like a lot of their techs that are driving around get paid incredible amounts of money, but they have a super high turnover rate because they work them like dogs. Like they make way more money than they would working any other job in the same field, right? Doing the same thing. They make way more money at like an AT&T, but they get worked like, and I assume it's the same at Amazon. I'm sure Amazon, from what I understand of a couple of people, there are some jobs there that actually pay very good, but it sucks.
I got denied by Amazon for a software engineering position. I thought it was funny. Of the like hundreds of places that I've applied and stuff like that over like however long, but they were one of the only ones that sent me a full like refusal letter, like, we don't think you have enough experience to work at this position, and it's kind of funny. Like I actually got like a refusal letter, like, sorry, bud. Like, but that's the only place of the big fucking tech companies.
Come back to us.
Yeah, pretty much. They're like, come back when you got like a couple years more experience, you jackass. But the point I was making,
I don't know how you're gonna get out without a job, but
leave me alone. I have one. Temporary for now, permanent maybe, but not permanent, but you know what I mean. What I was going to say though is that like I think they have that high turnover rate so that they can regulate or get past regulations for automation that there probably are within the jurisdictions they work in, because they've had those fucking little Roomba bots, like I'm sure you've seen them, where it's a very smart robot that lifts up the shelf, right? And it's a little circular robot with just a jack on it that pushes things up, and then it's no longer standing, and then it just moves it. And it these warehouses are like really weirdly designed with mostly robots in mind. Like a ton of the way Amazon works is already automated. So like seeing this robot thing is not surprising.
Companies, I'd automate it immediately because I've worked for some of these companies, and I'm just gonna be honest with you, like, because the work is so meaningless, it's very hard to care. And I'm not like saying like the people that work there are just lazy, right? It's not what it is. Like they go and they do their job, but they don't really like. I mean, everyone in all the places that I've worked that are an Amazon forklift driver, so those sort of like industries, you know what I mean? Like that kind of like stuff where it's not like you're not a plumber and electrician. You are doing manual labor, but you're not doing skilled manual labor. I mean, I guess forklift driving to some degree is skilled labor. I'll say that. But like, like it's not, you could definitely fuck stuff up on a forklift. You have to have some skill. I will say that.
A ton of people with a forklift if you knock over one of the shelves. It's literally fucking dominoes. There's plenty of horror videos from China.
But a robot's going to do so much better than me because that 15-minute break, guess how long it is for me? It's a 25-minute break, baby. That's a 25-minute break.
It's also got no delays. Eventually, it's going to be significantly more accurate, faster than you. You name it. And why would you put a human in this dangerous position? Yeah, Michael there posted a fucking horrible gift of like,
oh my god,
sayonara, buddy. He just killed himself and probably several other people in that facility.
I went to one facility. I'm not going to name the company that I worked for, but the one I worked at, the Canadian branch, when a new guy started running the entire Canadian, because it's a Fortune 200. It's a Fortune 200 company. So it's big company for what it did. And the branch I was at was just like the greatest branch. It was like the branch that they trained people. They'd send people from all over the US. And when the new guy came over, so then they had me go help out another branch. And I expected things would be like similar. And I was just like, this place is a fucking death trap. These people are fucking animals. Like they like asked me what I thought, and I said you should fire every single one of them because they're untrainable now. They have so many bad habits and so many things that are just absolutely fucking unacceptable. You should just get rid of almost every single one of them, besides maybe like one or two in the management positions. I know that's harsh and that's those guys' jobs, but like when I was there, I was like, hey, you can't do that way. That's dangerous. And
you're going to kill
people. I've
been
doing that for 15 years. This is how I've been doing it I'm climbing up on the forklift. Ain't never injured me. Get the fuck out. Fire them. Fire them immediately. Tell them to get out. Give them their pension. Give them their whatever, but just get rid of them because they won't listen. Especially older people in these industries. Older people and like an industry with safety regulation, they just don't give a shit. They're like, well, when they trained me back in 1945, we didn't have to wear hard hats. We don't care, dog. We do not care. Put the fucking hat on. Put the vest on. Quit fucking around.
I think we're headed towards like we might be completely in the position where like there's a moral part of this to automate everything because
you can't trust them.
Well, you also kind of mentioned like the idea of like you literally there's so much meaningless fucking work out there that people do that is day in, day out a horrible grind that you are basically the best thing we can get because there's no robot that can do your job yet. And
yeah, it's so weird.
There's probably a lot of people that like truck driving, and there's probably a part of me that would love a very specific part of truck driving. It's all the free time to listen to like audiobooks and podcasts and shit. Right? I would have so much fun
see myself being
doing that in particular. Driving. But a friend of mine said something about truck drivers that made me never want to like try to get into that field, no matter how much money you make. He said, you're homeless with money.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what being a truck driver is. You eat you eat nothing like but shit. Food deserts.
Like shit.
Fast food. You can't really prepare stuff. It's weird, man. There's a ton of like bad things about like working that job. And it's like if you automate it, there's all these people that they get to like raise their kids. Now, until we figure out the financials of that, that's obviously not going to be the transition for those people, but you don't want more people doing that because it becomes like an empty life.
These people hate their jobs though. Like the old guys at that warehouse that I was helping at, they did not like their jobs, right? But when I would come in and be like, hey guys, so like you need to mark this down because it's causing inventory issues. And that's why we have 50 can't find tickets a day when we would get 1 or 2 a month at the other location. This will make our lives easier. This will make things better. We won't be so stressed. We will get more done. Corporate will not be down our ass at this location. And even though they hate their job and even though they want things to be easier, they refuse. They refuse. They just stick their fucking feet in the ground. They go, oh.
I genuinely think that like people don't realize the degree to like when we get to a point where like literally ASI replaces all work, like there's just robots doing everything and like providing for people and Oh, Jesus, what's this one? A trucker flying off the road. That's not good.
He's merging. Don't worry, he's merging.
He's been doing this for 40 years, okay? But
he knows what he's doing. He doesn't need some young gun.
Anyways, my point is, like, these people don't understand to the degree, like, you're going to be so satisfied with a life of the first and foremost is going to be video games, because they're going to get so real and so interesting that everyone's going to do them, right? Especially once you get to full dive VR things. We know some people in this Discord who will live there. That's their only place they're going to be. They're going to be in the Oasis or whatever. But then there's
I know some people that I hope go live there. We don't need them in.
That's true. I know a guy in particular that comes straight to mind that I hope never leaves. But anyways, then you also get into family building. No, this is a very old friend, a cursed man.
Okay.
But anyways, you get into family building, entertainment, skill building, athletics is another like big one that will be significantly more. Everyone's got leisure time, so like, why not get good at something? That's going to be a decent amount of people, and entertainment as well. Why is it a bad thing for humans to just be entertained with most of their life when you kind of want that? Like the idea that like, oh, my life is meaningless because I'm not like working, right? Like so many people put so much of their life into like their ability to do a job. And what happens when that job goes away? You're meaningless because you put all your meaning into this thing, and it's sad. And like, that's my kind of point, is like, we're just going to get to the point where people are just going to have to accept that your life is going to be very different, and there's going to be a ton more leisure. And David Shapiro recently talked about like, we've literally had examples in the Roman Republic as far back as that, maybe even in ancient Greece as well. I'm not entirely sure. I know more about Rome, but you literally had classes of people.
Roman Empire.
You literally had classes of people throughout history that did not have a profession, and in fact were not allowed to have a profession. They lived a life of leisure. This is where like the philosophers come from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The only difference is they didn't have the internet or video games. What'd you say? You gotta come to your mic, Chief.
Yeah, sorry, I was leaning back. One of my buttons came undone on my shirt. I'm a modern day philosophicizer. Very smart. Philosophicizer. Philosopher, modern day equivalent. Like a Socrates or a Plato. One of those guys.
Fuck up, Johnny.
Very smart.
No.
That's why I need free time. If I start doing a lot of thinking stuff, you know what I mean? If I start doing a lot of that thinking stuff, I'm going to come up with some, you know what I mean? The reason I don't think no good is because I got too much stuff to do. If I do not have stuff, then I think better, think more, think better. Philosophers, you know?
Okay. Anyways, the point is
because
the point I'm making is like, I think it's going to be a very quick in terms of like timeline transition to most people don't have to work, and you're just going to have some brainiacs at the top that just are the people talking to the AI, just like you. Yes, you definitely.
Me talk to app on phone. Do you think? I mean, I think without, I think I'd be worried about the level of, because all this technology impacts like evolution. I think without the added benefit of augmentation, I would be slightly worried about the evolutionary trajectory of the human. But I think with augmentation and with AI taking a more pivotal role in our social structures, not to throw the E word around, the scary E word, but I think in some parts, to avoid a what's that film? Idiocracy style future. the technology has to be more of a helping hand than a
I think
entire institution
I genuinely think that we're just headed towards a state where there are no more dumb people, because even if you're literally caved in head, Wojak drooling retard, right?
With the little bicycle,
your AI will do things for you just like your caregiver would, right? Like, very serious about this. So, like, I think even if you have no capacity to learn, and this isn't considering the possibilities of like genetic gene therapy stuff that we're headed towards as well, you do not reach a point where everyone is so stupid that they're having giant trash. What was it? The avalanches of trash in the movie. That's
the great trash avalanche of
25, 52 or whatever, 25, 48,
25, 52.
Something like that.
I like when the guy's like, oh, that's cool, man. My wife was started. She's a pilot now. And then like it scans the horizon and there's like two buildings and they like have a big string wrapped around them. That's like my favorite little like cutaway scene is the two buildings and they're like one's on the other and there's just a bunch of like rope, these giant ropes.
Yeah, that's like there's a world where this does happen, right? It's like if there's no longevity and like every smart person gets just bred out of existence and they leave behind their technology and it's just a bunch of literal fucking idiots like running the place, then you might have that. But it's just it's a great movie, but we can't pretend that it was going to be prolific about everything. Nobody could have predicted an AI assistant. That it's just with it's not that there's one AI like in most movies, right? That like a few people have access to. It's that everyone has access to AI. You can talk you can talk to Chat GPT right now on your phone with the premium. You can talk back and forth to it. It's not perfect, but you can sit there and talk to it. And it's only so long before it remembers every little thing about you and knows a significant amount about people. And yes, Michael, it's Samantha is coming, which is from the movie Her, which I watched a while back and maybe like a couple months ago, and it's fucking prolific. It's remarkable.
I thought it was good. I thought it was a great movie. Good.
It is the cringiest fucking movie you'll ever watch in your life. And it knows it's cringe and it leans into it, and I hate it. But as far as what it predicts about like the near future, which is kind of how it's presented, it's impressive. It just
the difference is in the film, people kind of respected the whole AI relationship thing, and in real life, I'm dogging on you. I'm an AI bigot. I'm an AIist. No one's admitted it yet, okay? But I'm against mixed species. What would you consider AI?
Transhuman relations.
No son of mine's going to be dating an AI. Get that thing out of the house. Dad, it's a conscious being. It ain't no conscious being to me. Get that. I'm really the first you heard it here first. I'm the first person who's anti human AI relations. I'm an AI bigot. I'm an AIist. They're gonna look back and they're gonna be like, "Can you believe that these people had those views on AI where they didn't see them as human?" Like, geez, don't mind Grandpa. They were just calculators when he was a kid. He doesn't know any better.
It's gonna be a weird fucking scenario. There was game I used to really like, right? Where it's called PlanetSide 2, right? You probably know about it. It is awesome as far as the game is built. Later, it got very good performance. It's great graphics at some point. They're aged now significantly because it's a well over 10-year-old game that's been developed from then on out, right?
It was like 2013, 2012, right?
Yeah. So the thing about the game is that they got to a point where they had to add, like, I think they did, but they may have just been talking about it, but It's a giant open world within a giant map, all out war between 3 factions game. And there's air to air to ground. There's tanks, there's big like people carriers, kind of helicopter type things. It's futuristic space game, right? But effectively what they had to do at some point was, because their player base was like shrinking, there's bases that you got to take. So they effectively make like instead of like what used to be like a literal man turret where anyone can go get in that turret, right? And shoot people. But I think eventually they were either talking about it or whatever, but effectively you add a bot, right, to man that turret. And that kind of ruins some of the integrity of the game, because you kind of want everything that you're dealing with to be real people that you're fighting. But if you can't keep a player base, which is something that kind of happened to them, you get into the point where like they made a fucking amazing game, but their advertising was shit. So you only got like 2,000 people playing this like masterpiece of a game to this day on a regular basis. But like if it had, hundreds of thousands online every day, you would have no problem having people in these turrets.
Have that issue.
So I think given how antisocial so much of the world is right now, unless you can get like an assistant that is significantly good at like moving people into a more positive mental direction on both ends of like the gender divide, which is like going on now, you are kind of going to have to just, what do? You're lonely as shit. You can't socialize with anyone.
Okay.
The only thing you got,
joking.
I know where you're coming from, but like,
well, okay, but
you really
let's
think of the worst fucking like spurg fucking lonely
it's
person.
fine if other people's kids go fuck a robot. That's whatever. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like now I actually feel like I am an AI bigot. Okay. Now I really do feel like I am going to be looked at historically as a real AI bigot, but I'm just going to say it. And maybe it's because I'm not with the times, the future times yet. You can't sit here and tell me that if your son came home and he's like, oh, I met a girl, I'm going to get married, and it was a fucking AI, you wouldn't be like, Jesus fucking Christ. What a fucking loser. You can't tell me you wouldn't be disappointed. Now, I'm not saying you don't love him still. You got one, and he's fucking the AI. That's his wife now. He loves it.
All right, I'm on your side. But only
that's
in
what
this
I'm saying.
Like,
if
I got 2 sons, we wait for the other son to see what he does. And then we beat them both. But if I mean, there's other aspects.
It's like
other weird aspects.
I get that.
You want grandkids, right? You have this perfect fembot thing that follows your fucking son around all the time. She's wonderful. She's fucking wonderful. She can cook. She cleans. She does all the the most feminine things you can think of. You can't tell the difference, right? And
I'm gonna put a 12 gauge to the back of its head.
And we figure out the way to make this thing have a surrogate baby or whatever, or
give it a cervix.
Yeah, what do you do then? This thing is fully capable of fulfilling all of your son's needs, both family wise, even up to interacting with everyone in the family.
It's not allowed in my house.
Having grandchildren, you literally that thing is genetically part of you. There's the baby that comes out, it's you. It's your grandkid.
I spit. He's out of the will. He's discontinued from the family tree. End of. Because we're at a stage right now. You can't blame me for being bigoted. I'm a product of my time. We don't even have it yet. We're talking about things we don't even have yet, and you're expecting me to accept it as a human being in my social dynamics. I can't. I'm not ready.
Okay,
maybe
what if you never knew? Well, what if it gets to that level where the only reason you find out is 50 years out? No, you find out 50 years out. That's the trick. Do you now expel them after that 50 years? What do you think? At what
No,
level
but I
does
lose some respect.
Yeah, true. I don't
I
know.
lose a little respect.
It's hard to say, dude.
It's too late. Well, if we have longevity, I'd just have another kid then, and I'd be like, this one's going to be better.
I almost worked for a startup that specifically was like
Maybe
one of the things.
Just an AI bigot.
One of the things that the startup was going to do is make, it's like clone your favorite celebrity, talk to them, right? But they were going to make it like fucking.
Oh, it was an AI. I thought you meant it was like an actual human clone.
No,
like, that's a little fucked.
But they were going to make it like, because frankly, they want revenue. So you make a branch of it that's not safe for work. So
yeah,
you make your virtual sex bot, your sexting bot, and talk to it. Basically,
you can have Morgan Freeman.
Basically, make replica with like voice chat, like XXX rated. Like that was the point, and it's like that's just one
I
little
want
group.
Trump to talk sexual to me. You've been he's one of the naughtiest little kids I've ever seen. He's going to get spanked. And we like that, don't we? We like that, don't we? He's been very naughty, and we're going to have to give him a very big spanking. That's what I said. Boom, market value. Boom, stocks increasing. People want it. Give them what they want. That's...
You fucking disgust me.
Oh, you're working for the fucking company.
I'm not working for the company.
Oh, I thought you said that one of the companies I was going to work for.
Almost.
Yeah? Oh, so you
then I would be that
degenerate.
asshole. Listen, I need the money. Okay. It's the virtual equivalent of like being a software stripper where you like work on the most degenerate code that there is just to get by,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible.
So that's something weird to think about.
Yeah. What is the ethics of that though? Like from a legal standpoint, from a copyright infringement standpoint, I mean, that seems like
fucking Donald Trump. I don't know. I don't know what the legalese.
I think he would bury that company into the fucking dirt.
Yeah, but how many companies pop up?
If I was famous, that just means more lawsuits and more money for me.
Maybe.
It's whoever has the better lawyers. If you have the money to litigate, always litigate. If you don't have the money to litigate, then you don't. That's the only thing about litigation. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't that become a blood from a stone situation eventually? Because you're just like stomping on these small companies. Nope. Like, do you really make that much money?
Nope, not if they have startup funds, and it depends on when you decide to file a lawsuit. The reason people don't litigate is because they do not have the funds to start the litigation. That is why people don't litigate. That is why big corporations will litigate for 20 years. Because guess what? They've got the money. Me and you, even if we have a case that's going to win against Apple, it's right then and there. Fiscally, it makes no sense for us to litigate because we will not be able to afford to get into this long-term.
Well, that's why there's class actions. Battle. So
exactly. So if I was a famous person and my voice was being used, I would put them out to pasture. I'd put them 6 feet under, and I'd take them every fucking penny they had, and everyone that popped up, I'd do the same, just because that's my personality. I'm you know what I mean.
I don't know. I think at some point you're just pulling weeds in a giant field by hand.
Well, yeah, at some point you have to be the one that makes you have to be the one that starts the company with your voice. Someone else is gonna do it.
I've had this thought, right, where like, okay, let's say you become like a famous YouTuber, right, and you now have to like get by. You're doing your gambling sponsors or your weird fucking Raid Shadow Legends thing. I would never want to do those like on principle, but I have had a legitimate thought in my head that I would clone my voice and just robotically fucking send that video out with the sponsor and not care because I didn't say it. I don't know why that makes it different for me, but it does. And I don't know how to explain it to myself even.
I think with the voice, I get what you're saying. It's a little different, but I think like when it comes to like naked photos of me, I think that just spurred me to do actual like porn at that point. Like if people are like making them of me, you know what I mean? And like people making money off it, it's like no. At this point, like now I'm pissed. People are already making no. This is mine. This is mine. You can't be making. I think it's like the opposite in that sense. Because the like the biggest issue with an industry like that is like the social ramifications, right?
So look, you went the other direction. You know, Riff Raff. I'm sure you know about that. Like degenerate.
I love Riff Raff. He's hilarious.
He is an interesting fucking individual. But the point is Riff Raff had a philosophy where there were so many copycats that made themselves look exactly like Riff Raff. White dudes that, you know, want to rap and stuff like that. Basically, the Tupac Shakur thing, where like, you know, you got a bunch of black dudes that look like Tupac and like pretend to be him for fun. It just becomes part of their thing. It's the same thing with Riff Raff. There's a bunch of white dudes. Yeah, Eminem's another one like that. Well, Riff Raff had a very healthy response to that, which was he decided that, well, if there's a bunch of Riff Raff clones, I'm going to be the swollest. And he started working out like a motherfucker and like got pretty fit and, you know, big biceps and stuff like that. Like pretty impressive for the amount of like knowledge he seems to have about how to like lift and shit. And you just want to make better porn.
Shark teeth.
So
got shark teeth. I got those shark teeth.
My point is, you just want to make better porn. That's your response.
No, I want to make the money. I don't care about the quality. It's the fact that other people are making money off the degradation of my being. It's one thing if I'm a degenerate.
How are you making money off of?
And I'm out there debasing myself.
What guys in porn make money?
How's anyone making money? Well, I'm built different, so first of all,
really
think about that. Yeah. So first of all, let's just get that out of the way. First of all, built different. Second of all, I know how to. I'm a good salesman.
Shut the fuck up.
Tell me Johnny Sins doesn't make good money? I don't even watch that shit, and I know who Johnny Sins is.
I don't know who Johnny Sins is.
There's a ton of memes because I guess he did like a lot of stuff, my assumption here, where he like dresses up as like the plumber and the this and the that. And so like people will take like a still image that is safe for work of him in one of the outfits, and they're like, oh, just a normal doctor. This is my pediatrician or some shit like that. And they'll be like, oh man, the man with 1 million jobs. How does he have so many jobs? Like there's a lot of jokes about that. So I'm sure he has plenty of money. But the point is it's one thing if you're like again, like debasing or like, you know, doing that to yourself. It's another thing of other people doing it and making profits. I think that's where I would be like, well, what do I do now? I'm not making any money and everyone already thinks I'm doing it. Like, what do you do, Joe? What do you do? You're making no money. Other people are making money. And the content that looks real and you can't differentiate it. You know what I'm saying? And it's out there. What's your plan? How are you combating
Nobody's paying to watch me fuck something. I'm going to be honest with you.
That's not the point. Let's just say you're built different.
What if the world's different?
Let's just say ladies like it. They want that Joe. You know what I'm saying? And well, we could think about it. What if it's your voice? What is the fact you have such a nice, handsome voice? And there's all this ASMR role playing about your voice. Don't flip me off. That's very rude. I'm giving you a compliment.
Go fuck yourself.
And there's all these like dirty ASMRs with your voice, and there's people making money off of it. And everyone's like, oh yeah, that's Joe doing that. Old Joe B-Fi over there. He's making that stuff. And everyone thinks you are, and you're not making any money. What are you doing?
Oh no, that's actually possible right now. My solution is to deny that's me internally and externally as much as possible. That's all I can do.
And they're like, it sounds just like you.
At some point, you just got to say, why are you listening to my voice and jerking off? What's wrong with you? Like, you're fucked. It's just out in the ether, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's plenty of dudes just going off on your voice, and there's just nothing you can do.
No one said it was dudes. No one says dudes jerking off to your
okay,
voice.
so in my head, it's the worst possible thing.
Why did you imagine?
In my head, it's the
head,
worst possible thing. The worst possible thing is enjoying that, because I wouldn't care if like a girl did, right? It wouldn't bug me, but like something about like a guy enjoying my voice like that bugs me more, and I don't know how else to say that, and it just is.
I'm a narcissist, so like if the most flamboyant gay man like compliments my outfit, I'm riding that high. Like I'm like, yeah, that's right, yeah. Nothing too sexual though, but I don't like when women say really sexual things to me either. But compliments I like. Doesn't matter the gender. It doesn't matter what they look like. Doesn't matter if they're nasty people. If they compliment me, I'm like, yeah. But I'm like sort of detached. It's not about them. It's about me. It's about me. So I guess it's a different, you're like, oh, I'm being like, a part of me is being like corrupted in a way that because I'm not comfortable with it. And for me, it's just like, yeah, I am, aren't I? I am the best.
Yeah. I mean, I play a lot of like Counter-Strike, right? And like, I very frequently get like grown ass men will be like, you got a nice voice. And I'm like, can we just play the fucking game? I don't like it. Like, it just makes me so uncomfortable, like immediately. Like you throw my aim off and everything.
How about you tell me I'm a good boy? Then we can go back to playing the game.
Yeah.
Is that what happens to you?
It's weird, dude. Sometimes
I wanted to play video games.
Sometimes it's really homoerotic the way that like a man will like compliment my voice. It's very fucking uncomfortable.
You just get like, are you trying to tell me that like you're suffering from like being sexually harassed on the internet?
It is happening.
Trying to play video games. You're just like crying.
No cry. Mostly cringe and uncomfortableness. I just want to play the game.
Well, you shouldn't have that buttery smooth little voice.
Dude, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. No, stop it.
Okay,
bad Johnny.
I'm done. I'm sorry.
We're done.
Ooh, I like that.
It's the fucking Cusco. Nice cock.
Nice.
That's exactly what happens.
Nice cock, Colonel. I like that. That's funny.
Okay. So besides the horrors of the internet of the future, which is anyone you look at, you can just generate whatever horrible thing you can think about them.
I mean, it's the same horrors that we've been having for like 20 years, really. Like 20 years back, they just like cut out. Like back in the 70s, I imagine that there's people who had like a Playboy with a naked woman, and then they'd take a photo of a woman they knew, they'd cut it out with scissors, and they'd paste it on there. I assume that happened. I don't know. I wasn't alive then, so this is not something I've obviously done because I wasn't even alive to do it. But I assume that was probably happening with more frequency than admitted. It's just that it's far easier to do, and now people can share it. No one was like, "Hey, man, you want to come over and look at the Playboys I've glued together with our like." That woman
I don't remember the guy's
us.
name, but there was the recent. This was maybe about 6 months ago. The fucking Twitch streamer that got caught with the window open for like orders he'd done on AI porn that was streamer girls that he frequently were within his group of like streamers. And like one of them was like his best friend's wife. He was creating generative AI of her.
Oh no!
AI porn of her.
They're not the best friend's wife. Oh no!
Yes.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know, dude. Like that's when you just lose your best friend.
Yell at me all you want. Yell at him all you want. He's already made the porn. You can't unmake it.
Well, okay, so we've got like a divorce pandemic effectively in America and other parts of the West within the last 30 plus years, right? It's been a nightmare for like couple stability long term to have like a long lasting relationship. what the fuck do we do about like the like okay, there's going to be like some okay, this is like a serious thing. There's going to be a conniving bitch at your work, right, who wants you and hates your wife. The tools to send your wife evidence that you were cheating and then like try to swoop in. I'm just trying to think of a motive effectively, right? Even blackmail
just
and threatening.
Just because I can. Because I'm a sick bastard.
The tools to even like make your significant other like doubt you or vice versa, right, are getting easier. So at some point I don't know, I've kind of thought about this, like you're going to have to like track people in your family's like location just to like make sure that they are where they say they are, and like for peace of mind, because people are going to come around and fuck with you. I heard one where there was a TikTok of this guy where he was talking about his mom called him on his phone and started saying like, you know, I'm kidnapped, I'm in trouble, I need like Bitcoin. Obviously it's a pretty shitty scam, right? Someone's going to fucking fall for it is the point. And it'll get better as time goes on.
Grandma's going to get all her Monero out. You know, yes. Grandma's got all that Monero.
So basically like, he's like, that's strange. I just talked to her. Hangs up, calls her. She's all good. But there's a million and one ways where like the manipulation efforts are going to get more sophisticated around these topics.
Yeah.
Because the AI tools are just
and better. Easier. That's the thing, is easier. It's like, you know, it's one thing. Again, go back to the cutting out the photo of the person that you work with. You fucking get the little glue stick on the Playboy. You know what I mean? Like that. It looks like shit.
Elmer's fucking glue stick.
Yeah. Elmer's glue stick. You know, put it on your weird like ritual wall you have because you're like a crazy person. But like the people doing this stuff nowadays, they're a little sick, but they're not like crazed because there's so many people doing it. Like it's clearly a massive industry. So, you know, the ease of which you can do some of this stuff, I think matters as well, because the easier it is, the like, I think in some way, the amount of time it takes to do something gives you time to reflect on the ethics of it, right? So like if I can just generate pornography of your wife like instantly, right? That like willpower wise, like so many more people will then fall to that as if it was like a 5-hour process. It's like a 5-hour process to do this. Like I got to be pretty fucking committed to making that of your wife. You know what I mean? Like I've got to have thought about it for a while.
Well,
yeah.
Talking about
it just
like
goes through your phone and it's like, you want to make some porn of this person, and you're like,
well, talking on like the manipulation front and like going around and like scamming people, right? You have the issue of like, once you get to a significant level of like uncensored AI, one of the things, which is why I'm partially sympathetic to the censorship of AI in the short term, but I think it will have long-term consequences. GPT-4 in its uncensored state would help you manipulate people. Like it was very like creative on how to manipulate someone to do something. And if you can jailbreak it now, it'll help you. It's pretty drastic, right? So
that's why you need to get
you got these Indian scammers.
In regards to what you were saying, it's like you need a signifying tattoo where like people aren't going to see like near an area. So if people try to generate stuff of you, be like, tattoo's not there, it's not real.
Well, just my point of this is like the Indian scammers are the ones that are most stereotypically known to be doing this because they do it in mass, and other like poorer countries where like the people aren't very well educated, they can't do very sophisticated scams. Send grandma 5,000 Bitcoin if she dies, right? The point of making, or $5,000 in Bitcoin. But the point of making is like, you don't even have to do the thinking to create the sophisticated scam at some point, because the open source AI that will be coming will be perfectly capable of creating those manipulation tactics and even creating plans for you on how everything goes.
And it's going to be, and eventually when the AI gets smart enough, it's going to be like even people like us, where like we're familiar with what's going on, we're going to be able to get manipulated into it because it's going to know the exact time when we're at our mentally weakest.
Yep.
It's going to know that we've been out drinking, you know? It's going to know like little things like that. So like you might not get scammed, but what if for some reason your location, they're like looking at you, right? They know you've been out partying or something like that. You're drunk, and then they try and scam you, you know?
Yeah. It's when you're weakest or when you're like really sad or desperate, you're having a bad month. Mm-hmm. It sucks.
I'm a real girl. Talk to me, send me money.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what, Johnny? What are you talking about? What's the push?
I'm watching this.
I figured it was going to do something like that. I didn't expect that, though. What on earth is this GIF?
It's MC Escher shit on God.
Real?
Some of that MC Escher. I can say words correctly.
So main point that I'm making is this is why I'll forever, until we have it, advocate for very defensive AI. We need things that can defend absolutely everyone because horrors beyond our imagination are coming. You're gonna, like people got self-esteem issues. Like if you saw like AI art of like your girl doing something and like someone's accusing them of something, you're human. It's gonna be hard for you to like accept that moment.
Yeah, that'd be
even
tough.
If you trust that person with impunity, you're gonna
an emotional creature.
So you're gonna need like things to reassure, defend, and censor that for you to get it away from you. And
it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, not tough for significantly advanced AI at some point, but we're not there yet.
No, it's the intern is where the issue lies.
Yeah, the old adage of it's easier to destroy than it is to create. So to create the defensive tools, some people are going to die. So,
whoa, die.
Yeah. Anyways, Johnny, it's time to end it today. I hope to have a better situation with fucking
Twitter.
It's so
absolutely,
weird.
For sure.
I think I'm gonna grab you at some point during this week because you said you're free. After I'm done,
I am
working on some stuff.
I won't be free Wednesday, and then maybe like should be 3 days really that I shouldn't be free. I haven't figured those days out, but Wednesday's definitely one of them. So
okay, well that'll be it for this episode. Thank you for coming as usual, Johnny.
Got it. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. This will be up on Monday. I'm not doing this shit today. All right. I'll see you guys later.
Sounds good.